Today I was on a panel dealing with subcontracting benefits for small businesses. When you seek to do business with other entities, that you understand the culture of the organization, what certifications are required by the organization.
So, I'm very pleased to have the distinguished panel take time out of their busy schedules to share with us. And look, that's Debbie Burroughs, who's going to be moderating, and she's got an extensive career working in this space. And I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you asking me to come aboard. And I'm so happy that all of you decided to stay with us. I'm Dr. Stephanie D. Burroughs, president of Stephanie Speaking, and I've been in this game since 1980 when I was thrust out onto construction project, a massive rail construction project, pre-New Jersey Transit, and told to do contract compliance monitoring for the Minority Business Program and for the labor force. So that's where my career began in 1980, 125 pounds, 5 feet strong. First one and only black female, and out there in the field putting up with a whole bunch of stuff. So that has transpired into so many other things over the years, you know. And so from my panel here, I've known Dave from, goodness gracious, before Rutgers. Yeah, through the NMSDC. And we're going to talk about NMSDC briefly for those of you who are not familiar. Deborah Wiggins and I go back. I mean, we're not even going to talk about number of years. And then there's Bob Brown, and Bob and I still are staying in touch and hopefully doing some things in the future. So you have people here who know this business inside out, and especially when it comes to advocacy for minority women, small business, LGBT, veteran-owned business, service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. So I'm going to ask each of them, just give a 1-minute introduction on what they're doing currently. Now, how many of you actually did you all see the links to the LinkedIn for everyone of you? No? Okay, good. So you got a little bit on one of them, but I want them just to tell you from their perspective of exactly what it is they're doing to make a difference in this space. Start with you, David.
Okay. Good afternoon. As she stated, my name is David Hamlin, and I'm the owner of a company called the Hamlin Group. I'm a business management consulting company with a variety of hats. It's a luxury of because I have such a diverse background, having worked for utilities, within higher education, within retail, within the consumer product space. I'm very much a generalist in understanding different markets. So my focus now is really to help businesses grow. I primarily work with successful, I call them large, small businesses that are trying to transition to becoming a true medium-sized business and get to that 5 million to 25 million range, where I spend most of my time. But I'm looking forward to interacting with all of you, and any questions that I can answer, I will be more than happy to share whatever knowledge I can with you.
Thank you very much. Can you give David a hand? Deborah Wiggins. Deborah has been holding it down for University Hospital. I don't know, you can't leave.
It's not true.
Tell me what you're doing, Deborah.
I'm Deborah Wiggins. I've been with University Hospital, formerly University of Medicine and Dentistry in Newark for about 20 years. I work in the supply diversity field, and what I basically do is try and get our diverse population engaged in contractual opportunities with the hospital. And it's a very energetic field because it's trying to get the right match to the right opportunity. I'm engaged, I know both of these gentlemen from being engaged out here in the community fighting the same battle to get opportunities for diverse businesses and growing opportunities for them, because we all do believe that there's enough of this pie to go around. It's just how do we get diverse people qualified and equipped and able to take part in it.
Thank you. Thank you. And then finally, we have Mr. Robert Brown, we call him Bob. Bob left a hole at the PTAC when he decided to retire. So you all are very blessed to see him and to hear from him, because people are asking me, where is he? But I will tell them unless he says it's okay. Bob, tell them a little bit about what you're doing now, because that's exciting.
Yes, so good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to thank Andrew for inviting me here. It's a delight to walk in and see familiar faces. A number of people that I see I've done telephone with, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. You know, when you walk into a space, you kind of feel like you're at home.
Yes.
Okay. So I did 11 years at NJIT PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, where I counsel small businesses on how to obtain contracts, not only with the government, but with prime contractors. And I have since retired. I am about 7 months into retirement, but I sort of planned for that. And one of the things that I did prior to going to NJIT, I was a small business owner, and I actually performed contracts for a lot of your Fortune 500 companies. And when I say perform contracts, these were contracts in the art and advertising field. So what am I doing today? I've taken that passion, I've combined it with my wife, and we have opened our own little art gallery. And so we're offering opportunities to the community. We'd love to have you come by. And some of the clients from NJIT still reach out to me, and I will counsel them wherever I can. And you know, whenever I'm called on to reach out or to give back, that's why I'm here today. Okay?
Thank you so much, Bob. And I would say that when Bob was at PTAC and I was Director of Procurement Programs for the New Jersey Small Business Development Centers, and so sometimes I would send people over to him, and sometimes he'd send people over to me. So collaboration is key.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we don't all have everything. So what I'm going to do is ask the panelists a series of questions, but we are going to give you at least 15 minutes for Q&A. All right? And I have some information. I'll share this with you right now, because I was asked to bring some information. So I put this little 2-page sheet together with a lot of helpful links. But also on the second page, you will see where it tells you you can type in, open the document to click the link. So I put in the actual location where you can just open up a document online, click the link, and it will take you to this. Now all the links are live. Because you know we make mistakes if you try to type in each one of them, it doesn't happen. And then they're like, Dr. Burroughs, this isn't working. So I wanted to make sure to have that for you, so each of you can have one of those before you leave. So let's get started with David. Because in government, both state and federal, and I'll speak a little bit to the state side since we don't have anybody here on that right now, but they are very transparent. You could go on the web and find so much information in the websites, on the websites, it's crazy. The problem is a lot of people just don't know, or they don't know where to look, but there's tons of information going back decades of every transaction, of every contract, of every purchase order, depending on whether you're looking at state or federal, and who won them, who the primes are. But we can't find that information for corporate. So how does an MBE or a small business, I'm just going to call it small business because it encompasses all the different categories. How do they learn about upcoming contracting opportunities or what's currently being solicited?
It's an extremely difficult process. Again, as Stephanie was saying, on the public sector side, you've got laws and requirements for public bidding and this type of thing. So it is far more transparent. On the private sector side, in typical Fortune 1000 companies, that this does not exist at all. So it's the old-fashioned salesman, old-fashioned networking, relationship development, getting in there, going to trade fairs, going anywhere where you think you would have an opportunity to meet corporate people. And frequently, some people get confused and think, well, I have to meet the director of the department, or I got to meet the vice president. And that's really not the one you want to meet. You want to meet the actual one who's issuing an order, especially if you're a small business, or any business, but it's a relatively low dollar threshold, let's say under 25,000. Frequently, and the titles will vary from company to company, but it could be a title like commodity manager, it could be a title buyer, could purchasing agent, any of those kind of titles. That's really the one you want. If what the service or commodity that you're providing is at that level, that's the person, because frequently they can do a direct purchase. And it's purely about who do they know. Probably the biggest suggestion I could give is the days of walking in, well, these days never existed, but a lot of minorities got confused because, and maybe I'll take a step back. There's the public message that private corporations send out, which is we welcome minorities, we welcome women, we want to do business, and it's this real rosy picture that's painted, and literally over our years of combined, we've seen thousands of people walk in and say, okay, I'm here, where's my contract? Because they listen to what they say publicly. Nothing could be further from the truth. All the more so today, the expectation is they don't need you. So you have to go with the mindset, he or she does not need me. They do not need what I'm selling because they've got someone already providing it. So you have to come in with the sales mindset of, how can I give this person a reason to do business with me? Because they're sitting there looking at you with a blank face and I'm fine. I'll be purchasing that good or service. I don't have a problem in the world. You're the one who's trying to sell me, so you got to go in with that mentality. So their expectation is that you walk into the door knowing what their needs are. So again, you can't walk in and traditionally, so many people walk in and say, what can I say? How can I do business with you? I'm here, and it's just not going to get you anywhere. You've got to do your homework, figure out what does this company do, try to find out, it's difficult, where the pain point is. If you can find out the pain point of any commodity manager or buyer or whatever it is, that's what you want to sell them, because that's what they're interested in. So, yeah, networking, talking, that's where you'll find out. What do they need in relationship to what you can do, what you're providing?
Thank you, that is really concise. And in addition to that, going to those matchmaker meetings, if they're out at the matchmakers, I wrote a book about it, really important because not always do the buyers come out. Oftentimes they have the supplier first few people to come out. So when they do bring out the buyers, how many of you have gone to Sue Hogan's programs at PSE&G? She brings out her category managers.
PSE&G is probably one of the best New Jersey corporations in terms of sincerity when they talk minority and women-owned business. They are sincere. Does that mean you're going to get a contract? No. But it does mean there's a genuine sincerity. I've worked with PSE&G, so I know firsthand in those conversations where you're not in the room. There's a general commitment of senior management to do it, but we gotta get in there and compete.
Excellent. Deborah Wiggins. What do you see as the major challenges for most small businesses when they're responding to RFPs or bids, requests for quotation, RFQs?
Preparation. I think the lack of understanding of how detailed these bid requests are, and inability of companies to do due diligence and pre-reading and putting together all of the pieces that are needed to help you to have a successful bid package. One of the things I always tell people is read every bid I put out, whether it pertains to you or not, to look at what we asked for. Then go back and look inside your company and see if you have those things in place. If not, that's your starting point. You know, to bid, you have to have these things in order because we're going to ask for it. Just the other day, I'm working with a small business, and I gave him some advice on what you need to do to get certified. You need to have these things in place, and I asked him if he had his AA forms in place. Well, he didn't know what I was talking about. I said, well, if you read that bid act that's up there now, you'll see that's what they asked for. Well, what is that? I said, well, when you finish reading the bid package, come back and tell me. I'm not going to tell you. You got to do your due diligence. That means you don't have it in place. So you have to have things in place, but you're not going to be able to bid. You need to come to the mandatory meetings. You need to come to mandatory meetings, perhaps if they're not even areas that you directly related to you, so that if we have a set-aside component in it, large businesses don't know anything about the set-aside minority. They really don't care. But if you're coming and they see you and they know they need to find somebody, they're willing to talk to you. So, you know, you got to do your due diligence. You got to do your homework. It's more than approaching me and saying, I want to do business with your company. And you don't, you know, people are still approaching me and say, how do I do business with you and D&J? Well, that's a problem right there. You didn't know I'm not calling you and D&J anymore. So, you know, those are the things that you have to prepare yourself. You have to do your homework. You have to know how to approach a person. It's not always about doing business. It's what can you get from me? You know, what can I do to help you develop to be in a position to go to Dave or go to Bob for an opportunity? Because we're all in the business of sharing knowledge and information. That's what we do.
Thank you, Deborah. So in other words, it's back to the main thing, which is know your prospect. Know what they buy and how they buy. So who buys what you sell? And you go in with that knowledge already. And then again, how do you approach them and how do you speak to them? And what is the language? Like how many of you actually read the websites before you approach to get an idea of what that company is all about, their mission, their vision, what the language it is, so that you can speak that language when you speak with them. It's pretty deep there. Thank you. Bob. Take it back to PTAC days. So while most people go to find federal solicitations on FedBizOps or FBO.gov, many may not be familiar with the Defense Logistics Agency. Can you share with the audience some of the products and services that small businesses sell to the Defense Logistics Agency and a little bit about who they are, what they do? Because it's a little different from dealing directly through FBO or FedBid for contracts made even within the Defense Department.
So, here's how I'm going to answer that. You have big old Department of Defense, DOD. So what I would like you to understand today, DLA, the Defense Logistics Agency, is at the Department of Defense. That's number one. DLA, the Defense Logistics Agency, buys everything. Everything for the warfighter, from tanks to uniforms to food. Just about whatever you do, DLA is the agency that's going to buy it. So, as the panel has stated here, you need to get yourself in a position to qualify for contracts. Now, interesting what I said, qualify for contracts. In other words, The government has put in a list of requirements, and I'm going to also say to you today that corporate America is adopting some of the very programs the government has already put in place. And I'll give you an idea. So you want to sell your goods and or services to DLA. Well, first of all, you got to be registered in SAM. If you're not going to register in SAM, then you can almost forget doing business with the government. Well, you could go home this afternoon and register your business in SAM. The answer to that question is no, you can't. Why? Because in order to get into SAM, you have to have a DUNS number. Well, in order for you to get a DUNS number, you got to be registered with the state in which your business resides. So there's a whole hierarchy of information that is required, which means then you need to get yourself positioned so that you will qualify for contracts. It's as simple as that. When we talk about due diligence, okay, so you register in all of the places that you need to register, but then you need to become certified by some entity. Maybe it's the state of New Jersey. So that when DLA or a large prime say, are you certified, you want to be able to say yes to that question. So these are some of the things that I suggest that you do. One other thing that I'm going to kind of throw in, when you get ready to register your business into SAM, SAM is going to ask the question, do you take credit cards? A lot of people will answer no to that. And what a mistake that is, because there are contract opportunities available to you where that contracting officer is going to use his or her credit card that has been issued by DLA or some federal agency. So a contract at $3,000, they could actually contract with you and use a credit card to pay you. But when they check your SAM and you are not credit card acceptance, you just knock yourself out of the box. And one last thing I'm going to say before I close, and we can go on to some other issues, and that is the secret to contracts is to know how to read. No. Everybody know how to read. Here's what we say. You got to read the contract to find out what's in it, number one. Number two, you need to read the contract to see if you can do it. And number three, you need to read the contract again so that you cross all of your T's and dot all of your I's. So if you know how to read, then you can be a successful contractor.
Thank you so much, Bob. You also answered one of the other questions I had, and that was on the credit card, being able to accept that. And it floors me when I'm working with a client, and I ask, can you explain, we're doing the SAM or whatever it is, and they say, no, I don't take, how can you not take credit cards in this day and age? You know, people ask me, can I write you a check? I'm like, no, I can swipe the card though. Okay? I don't want to deal with the check action. So definitely make sure that you're able to do that. And I thank you for that information, Bob. I'm going to turn this now back over. Deborah, this is something that I learned about years ago. Thank goodness Sue Logan has these events, and she brought in these cooperative agencies, specifically for healthcare and the hospitals. So the question is University Hospital using a cooperative purchasing organization? Is it possible, if you are, for small businesses to participate in their procurement process? And the associated question is, what products and services do they normally procure on behalf of the hospital?
We use a GPO, which is Premier. Premier does have a program for set aside for small minority, women-owned, veteran-owned companies, you can go to the website of Premier Inc. and read up on their program. They have a SEEDS program, which is a developmental training program to help you go through the process. The director of that program, Deborah Williams, let me say her own name, she's very good at developing the companies and could take them through the SEED Academy. You have to be certified. I think their certification is with the Minority Supply Development Council. I think they take WeBank certification. The other part of that question was
What types of products and services do they procure?
hospitals procure a lot of services from GPOs, but those services can range from small services to extremely large services. I'm trying to think of an example of something we would buy from the GPO that's small. Yeah, it could be consumables, yes. Thank you, David. That's my buddy. Yes, it could be consumables. But the most important
Could you
thing
explain what the consumables are for them?
could be janitorial products. It could be companies that do maybe promotions. That's another promotional item could possibly come through there. Medical supplies, gauze, yeah. Devices.
Sheets.
I think I saw one company was an ice cream company, and we buy ice cream in the hospital, as you know. That's on a GPO contract. So there's no limit as to what can get on a GPO contract. It's just most people don't know that there are several GPOs in the universe, not just the one that my hospital deals with. If you just go online and put in GPOs, group purchasing organizations, you'll come up with a list, Meridian, Vision, or something like that, Premier. So there are dozens of them that you can apply to and read and see what their procedures are for you to apply to get in their database and become one of their clients.
Are you also procuring directly through the hospital? If so, what are some of the commodities?
When you say are we procuring
Are you
directly to the hospital? When we do our bid things, when we bid out through the hospital, we bid again, large and small medical devices, instruments, but we do smaller items, uniforms, not a lot of printing services, janitorial supplies, the gamut. The hospital uses everything, sheets, linen, construction services, management services, consultants. We use a lot of large and small items. So my advice would be to stay on our website, which is www.umdnj.org/perchweb, and that's one word, perchweb. And once you go on that website and you look at bidding opportunities, there's a message that says sign up to receive bidding opportunities. You sign up, they'll send you out notification when a bid comes up, and you'll be on top of the events that's going on at the university. What we don't control is the spend that is made under the threshold of $40,000. The departments have a right to buy where they want to buy. They have to get 3 quotes. Most of the time, they will go in what we have a marketplace system. They'll go in there and search for suppliers. So what I try and do is get suppliers registered in that system, so that when they're searching, perhaps your name will come up and they'll buy. And since we have no solicitation at the hospital, and we did it one time, but they stopped that, so suppliers can't come in and try and meet with individual departments or whatever to sell their products.
Thank you, because that was my next question. Whether or not you're still able to do that.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, at the last one, we do the 15 minutes. Write it down. Okay? Because I'm going to keep going, because I have a lot of questions here for folks. And they have a lot of information. I want to make sure you all are getting as much as possible. Deborah, do you all have a set aside for NWSBE?
We certainly do. Sometimes we specifically set aside a bid for that purpose, and I have to find at least 3 suppliers that can meet that need. That's very tough, because finding 3 suppliers that's going to actually bid on the opportunities, I've gotten stuck many times, where a bid came out specifically for a set aside, and I've given 5 suppliers and nobody responded. I mean, it's kind of bad. So we don't do a lot of them, but in every bid opportunity, there's language about set aside. I encourage our smaller suppliers to bid on our opportunities, or try and find another supplier to partner with to bid. But I think it's part of that mystique that bids are too large. We're not large enough. We don't know if we can handle it. I think that frightens people off. And the other part is the due diligence. You don't have the back end stuff that you need in order to bid. And putting a bid package together for the hospital is very costly. It's very costly. So that could be an issue, because you gotta make, we're not electronic yet. You gotta make manual copies. You could have big packages, and it costs money. And then it's the ability to do the job. People are afraid that they're not sure on how to cost out the project, and or if they win a bid, they underbid it, and that causes major problems. So I'm very cautious now when I'm recommending suppliers for opportunities, because every time it fails, that's a smack in my face in my department, because you must understand supply diversity does not rank high in procurement. Buyers are not interested in supply diversity. The organization say they like supply diversity, they want to do business, but that's not where the dollars are going. So everything you do and you got to fight for it. So when you get a situation where a supplier doesn't do what they're supposed to do, or they come up short, of course the buyers let you know, and that's a slap in your face. So I have to work extra hard to engage suppliers and make sure that they're able to do what they said they're going to do. I try wherever possible to get them in on the under the threshold opportunities, and realistically, some suppliers are just at that level, and they're probably not going to go past that level. Getting them under the threshold, trying to get them in to get some opportunities, but there are some major ones out here that I know can do the job. Those are the ones I push for.
Awesome. So there's a word that kept coming up, which is read.
Yes.
You know, I still do this with clients, but when I was at SBDC, it was constantly read the contract 3 times. Bob just talked about what we should be looking for those 3 times, but one of the things I find is that people do not read. I tell them every single word. Every word. Don't miss anything. And if you have questions, write them down, highlight, write down. By the time you go back the second time, you'll come upon more than likely the response to your question. By the time you go back the 3rd time, 90%, if not more than that, of your questions will have been answered. If there's anything left and you're still within the time slot, you can get those questions into whoever's solicitation that is, and they'll be able, and when they send a response, all questions are answered at the same time, everybody gets the response that comes out as an addendum. But read, don't miss anything, and I know the packages are huge. You should have seen what the packages look like in construction when I was at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. It was insanity, but they were big. So let's not be afraid of this. The other thing Deborah's talking about is it may seem like it's too much. It may seem like it's bigger than you think it is for you, but what happened to teaming? What happened to partnering? What happened to joint venturing? And I've known some business owners, you all know her too. She's big stuff now, she's international. And I remember when she had with one company a teaming arrangement for every different project they did, another teaming arrangement. And that thing really grew her firm. She's international.
And if I could just add to that, we are, I think, the only culture that has not learned how to work together to develop ourselves, and that becomes a hindrance in doing business, because if you take what I have and I take what you have and we put it together and we develop, we can do more than we can separately. And we have to overcome those kind of things and develop more trust in relationships and learn how to strategically work. Because a big thing that's missed here is doing business with each other. You oftentimes chase the dime in a corporation or a company or a hospital or whatever, when you could probably, in this room, each other could probably do more business together than you'll do with me in a year. So you can't miss that opportunity. We have to break down those barriers of distrust and begin to see the power we have in each other. Because until we do that as a community and as a people, we will always be segmented and always have a problem. And other people will be rising to the top as they're doing now because they create collaborations.
Saying it another way, we have to stop counting somebody else's money. So if you're thinking about doing a deal together, don't worry about how much I'm making.
Yes, that's
Quit
good.
getting in everybody else's pocket.
Yes.
Worry about, does it make sense for you? If you're gonna make some money, is it a fair amount of money you're gonna make? But don't worry about if I'm getting $5 more than you're getting. And we still, it's so often, Deborah's correct, that's a major stumbling block that you don't see other ethnic groups getting into that. If it's a good deal that makes sense and they're making money, go with it.
They say that in the Jewish community, the money circulates at least maybe over 10 times within the community, but ours leaves the community very quickly.
$1.
You know, right.
$1.
And Tony Brown has been talking about Black economic power for years, and I think it's glad that you brought that up because it's true. I worry that the Black community is not going to be on part of the Hispanics and the Koreans and other groups are going to surpass us.
They already did. They already did.
I'm going to add to that. Today, the Urban League came out with a report on technology. Of course, we're not in it, but we are the #2 consumers of electronics and technology next to the Asians.
Wow.
But we are consumers, not developers, right?
Wow.
We're not leading the market. Why? You may have a good product. I have a good product. I don't trust you to come together and let's break through, have a breakthrough moment and make this work. But other groups are.
And I'll add to that, I once talked to an Asian person who told me that sometimes behind the scenes, behind the doors, they will fight like cats and dogs, but when they present themselves to the public, they are one united unit. So it doesn't mean that they're the same with the Hispanics. So I can tell you, having several years ago going in to look at the numbers for the feds and looking at the breakdown by ethnicity, by male or female, Native Americans were at the bottom of the totem pole, and we were just above. And everyone else was vying for top position over a period of years, whether it was woman-owned business, or Hispanic-owned business, or Asian-owned business. So how many of you in here right now have an 8A certification? Anyone? How many of you have been in business for several years? And you're making revenue, you're earning revenue? Yeah? Okay.
What kind of business you do?
To have a conversation on that.
Executive coaching and training.
So there's an emerging leaders program that the SBA is putting on. It's kind of somewhat similar to the 10,000 Small Business program, right? Not quite the same, but they have a cohort as well. And there's a training company that is hired, and this goes on all over the United States. So there's a training company that they hire. In fact, someone from the SBA reached out to me a year ago and asked me, and sent me a notice saying contact them to see if you could do some training with them for us. My challenge was, for the amount of work they wanted you to do, it wasn't worth the money they were willing to pay. That was the consulting company. But it's something to look at, you know, it's something to think about. And this is going on nationwide. And as an 8A certified firm, well, that puts you ahead of the pack if they're looking for just that sole source. You can't beat that. So it all depends on how that contract is coming out, but there are definite advantages to that. And just being a small business, period, 23% goes with the feds. Why not be in the game? How many of you are certified by anybody? What? Okay.
Not even in the game.
Okay. Three that you just need to knock out of the way right now. MBE, WBE. If you're an MBE and a WBE, just check both boxes on the one for the state, okay? And then SBE, go in and do that one online. You're at the wait. You do it online. You pay with your credit card. They let you know if you pass the test. And then you can also download the certificate because they do have a set aside in the state of New Jersey for SBE, Small Business Enterprise. Guess what? Hudson County has a set aside for MBEs and WBEs. Yes. Guess what? Essex County has a set aside for MBEs and WBEs. And they already had one for the SBEs. And the governor, well, the bill has been signed, let me put it that way, the bill has been signed so they can go ahead with a disparity study for the state of New Jersey. Because while this governor is in office, they're looking to push forward with a set-aside program back once again for MBE and WBE in the state
They
of New
just
Jersey.
created the department, hired the executive, the president, or whatever the title is, for the department. They created the University Department in the state of New Jersey. It was in the paper. I think that you should spend some time researching certifications because you need to understand what they do for you, what each one means and what door it will open. New York has a very, very industrious certification program and goals that they are committed to for diverse suppliers. If you're not in New York and you're not certified by the New York companies, New York agencies, you really missed out on some good money because there's great opportunities in the city of Newark. New York. At this time, they have goals and they live by those goals. So you need to contact Empire State.
But first you must be certified here in New Jersey because the first thing they will ask you is, are you certified in your home state? That's the first question they're going to ask. And there is a fast track between Empire, City of New York, Port Authority, so they will fast track if you have one with the other. There's a lot that goes on. I'm saying to you, keep it simple. Start here. Get your certs here. I'm here to help. I do that. I work with businesses through that process along with many others, and so does Bob. And you're dealing with the certs, or no? No, you're dealing with the procurements. But we do that in terms of going after the contracts as well. And I'm saying to you, don't waste any more time. It doesn't make sense for you not to be certified with the goods and services that you're selling, especially when we have two communities right next to us already with set-asides. So let's go back to Bob for a minute, Mr. Brown. I'm gonna stretch your memory, let's go back.
Yes.
There's different types of, you hear people talking about contracting vehicles. And even I've seen on something that said, what type of contracting vehicle do you have? It asked for that in terms of a solicitation from the feds. So there are things like the BPAs, the GSA schedules, the IDIQ, the sole source. Can you just explain a little bit about some of those so they'll understand?
Absolutely. Here's what I'm going to sort of, as a small business owner myself, prior to going to the university, the question was, what is it that you do? You need to know what you do, and you need to have performed some kind of contracts within that area of interest. If you are a veteran and you are certified, but you cannot perform a contract, that certification isn't going to do you any good. Okay, so here's what I'm going to get at. So let's talk about set-aside, and I'm going to address the topic that Stephanie brought up, but I just want to touch on a couple of set-asides that I was involved with. So a drunk driver knocks over the chain link fence around McGuire Air Force Base. The base commander says to the procurement officer, get the fence back up. Deborah needs to get the fence back up, which means then she needs someone who can get the fence back up. Now, if she hires you because your specialty is chain link fence and you fail, it's going to reflect on her. So contracting officers become a little leery about going out on a limb to have you perform a contract, and they really don't know whether you can perform that contract. Let's talk about computers. Okay, so here was another contract. The U.S. Army was looking for 12 Dell computers with certain configurations, and one of my clients submitted bids, and guess what? She actually won it. Why? Because she issued the best price proposal, number one. She was not going to take control of the computers once they were built. She was actually going to have Dell build the computers, and she was just a facilitator for the U.S. Army. So now, when it came time to perform the contract, Dell said to her, we need this much money up front before we even build one computer. So now, even though she was the winner of the bid, she had a problem. She had to get that initial money so that Dell would then build the computers. In her particular case, she was able to do it successfully. Dell built the computers. She made about $65,000 on it, after paying Dell about $50,000. So when I'm talking to you about set-asides, or I'm talking to you about performing a contract, you must know how, within your discipline, how to perform that contract. The mere fact that you may be a woman-owned business or a veteran-owned business, that's icing on the cake. That will help them with their set-aside goals, which you got to be able to perform. So now let's talk about GSA, BPA, blanket purchase orders, so forth and so on. In each of those contracts, here's what you need to know. Let's take GSA, for instance. Okay, so I have a small business, and they do auto repair. Simple. Everybody has an automobile. Well, guess what? The military has a lot of automobiles. Okay, so why can't he get into government contracts selling either auto parts or what? Because he's not on the GSA, the General Services Preference Schedule. So what do we mean by that? So the government has a program whereby if you have a service that you perform or parts that you can supply, then you can propose to the government to sell your services at a discounted rate. So you then become pre-approved. So now let's take the military for instance. The military is required to go to a GSA schedule holder first, so that if the U.S. Army, they have a whole bunch of trucks, and let's say these trucks need alternators and batteries and all of this, they are required to go to the GSA schedule holder first. So then if you're wondering why you're not selling any automobile parts to the government, then if you're not on GSA, well, bless you. So let's look at another contract. Okay, so this contract has to do with event services. So we spoke earlier about DLA, the Defense Logistic Agency. So I would say to each of you, reach out to Defense Supply Center, Pennsylvania. They're over in Philadelphia, Robbins Avenue. Now, we've talked about all of the requirements you need. You need your registrations and you need your certifications, which at some point you're going to build into a capability statement. Which means then at some point you need to reach out to Defense Supply Center Philadelphia and ask them, who are the contracting officers that handle event services? So now you can start to target specific areas of interest. That's what I'm getting. So then when you start to go down the list of different kinds of contracts, an IDIQ contract is going to be a large contract that is going to last for 5 years or more. In other words, the IDIQ actually stands for indefinite delivery and indefinite quantity, which means it's an open opportunity. So here's the other thing that I'm going to kind of throw out since we're all here. Each of us up here really knows each other. And when we get that call, we come out to support Andrew and what he's doing. But when I look around the room here, I'm like, okay, do you all realize the power that you have in the room? And let me just give you a little hint. Okay, so Andrew puts this together, and he brings together these 4 experts. If you are not in my database, shame on you. Secondly, I have relations with the SBA, the GSA, and a number of others. If I put a call into Janice Bracey and says, Janice, we have 20 small businesses that need your services, guess what? She'll come out. But she won't come to each one of your individual businesses. That's what we're talking about. So there's power in this room. So it behooves you all to attend these events, to come out and support. Why? Because it gives Andrew power to pull in other experts.
Right.
For instance, she just asked, how many of you have an 8A certification? The highest certification that you could possibly get. A contract up to $3 million could be sole sourced to you and just given to you because you are an 8A certified company. That should have some interest
Y'all
to
should
your
be
ears.
excited about
That
that.
was just my question, I'm waiting for Q&A.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got to tell you, I used to get calls from SBA with my friends over there asking, Stephanie, please, what? Before she left Joanne, remember Joanne? Before she left and went down to North Carolina, she called me and she said, Stephanie, we need some African-American firms to get AA certified in janitorial services. Because my girlfriend, who was Persian, she was out of the program because she'd already graduated out of the program, and they had no more African-Americans, and a lot of the work was going to the Hispanics for janitorial services. She said, please help us find some. Come on. You talked about Janice Bracey. I was just with Janice Bracey the day before yesterday. We're going to lunch in a couple of weeks. She's like, oh, you're so close to me now. Let's just call me. Guess what? Because they're working from home nowadays, 3 days a week. And then they have to book a space at One World Trade in order to go into the office and work at a desk. They have to book it. So government is changing the whole way they do business. You just told us, Bob, that GSA, it's required for the Defense Department to go to the GSA schedule first. Well, I've been reading about this, and it's not just the Defense Department. Government wants more and more of the departments to go to GSA schedules first. Now, is everybody going to be able to do that? Not necessarily be on a GSA, but maybe you can partner or team, or maybe if you are you have really large companies that supply the equipment, the furniture, whatever, and you can team up with them. Because I've seen it happen over and over again. There's so many different ways to do business. We're just talking federal. We're not even touching the state, but I haven't even touched your localities, your municipalities, your cities, your townships, your counties. How many of you are receiving bids in your email from the counties? I'm just talking counties. I got one hand going up. You should have a separate email so that you can receive every email that's coming out regarding contracts. If it's Fed Biz Ops, you should be signed up in Federal Business Opportunities, or I just go for FBO.gov. All of this is on here on this sheet. So that you can receive bids that are coming out with your next goals. But oh, by the way, as we said earlier, you must first be insane, because they're going to pull that information in from SAM. And before you can be insane, you must have done a Bradstreet number. So there's process involved. But the bottom line is this: the information, the bids are not hiding except in corporate. They're not hiding.
Yeah, let me say two things to you. The first thing that I want to say to you is, let's look at the lottery. The lottery, all you need to do is have $1 to play the lottery, to get into that. So that becomes one concept. But let's look at a second concept. The second concept is, what is it that you do? If you are a roofer, you need to be the best roofer. And if you're the best roofer, then you want to let people know. Here's what I'm getting at. Many years ago, I had a family, and the family had the habit of eating. And we needed to have a nice car and a nice home. So I couldn't afford to play the lottery. So what I'm getting at is, bidding is good. It's costly and it's time consuming. But if you build a marketing strategy based on what it is that you do, and then you target various agencies and resources that need your services, you will be amazed at the amount of work that you can get within your discipline.
There you go. So I'm going to move on now, because we're going to stop to take questions. This is the last question I'm asking, and I'm asking David Hamlin. In your prior role as Executive Director at the University of Procurement Services with Rutgers University, what did you see as the major barriers to small businesses who sought to sell to the university?
We've touched in the commentary here on a lot of it, and it's really just growing the same challenge of large organizations like Rutgers, which is $1 billion procurement operation a year. I mean, it's right up there with the largest of the Fortune 1000 companies. And as someone touched, I think Bob mentioned, companies are risk adverse. They do not want, there's nothing in it for commodity manager, the procurement manager, the risk management department, the end user who's going to use whatever the good or service is. There's absolutely nothing in it for them to gain by going with a new vendor. Because if anything goes wrong, we all know what rolls downhill. So it's just, so again, you've got to have that, you're walking in with that challenge of how do I convince whoever it is you're talking to that you add value, that you're bringing something that they don't already have. And it's also, it doesn't have to be just money. You don't always have to be low bid, depending upon what your commodity or service is. You don't always have to be low bid. That's kind of a misconception of something. If you can add enough value in other parts of the technical component of RFP or somewhere else you can add value, that is definitely a consideration. But size,